Hey, I'm Ralphael Locklear with Constructive Conversations, and today we're meeting with Mr. Carl Pringle. Allow you to introduce yourself, sir. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you also.
All right.
I'm Carl Pringle, around town known as Uncle Carl, the flip-flop sauce guy.
For the folks who may be watching for the first time, can you give a kind of a high-level overview of what flip-flop barbecue sauce is all about and how you got started with it?
Flip-flop sauce, well, to be honest, was started just for my community events. I do a lot of community events where I feed the kids of the neighborhood, try to promote positive. Well, I made the sauce and took it out, and people were like, Mr. Carl, what is this? What is this sauce? And I said, well, it's flip-flop sauce. Why you call it that? So good you put on a flip-flop and eat it.
Nice.
And it kind of stuck, and it's growing since.
Nice. So, tell us about some of the challenges that you faced. Maybe like what that journey was. So you made your first batch. People loved it. How did you go from that to now having it in some of the stores that you have? And which all stores do you have it in?
Well, right now I always got to give Pate's Farmers Market the first shot. They were the first place to give me a chance. So Pate's Farmers Market carries all three, which is the light, the original, and the fire. Then was Kinlaw's, and now Food Line.
So, we're both entrepreneurs in totally different spaces, but I think there's a lot of similarities no matter which industry you're in. Was there a door-to-door? How did you convince the first people to give you a try when you're pretty much maybe someone consider a nobody, and then they're like, well, I'm willing to give you a try. Walk us through maybe what that conversation was like. Who did you talk with? What was the conversation like?
Okay, when I first came up with it, like I said, it wasn't trying to be a business.
Okay.
But the community kept pushing me because they saw what I was doing for the community. And then when I started to bottle it at home, people would buy the sauce to support what I was doing because a percentage of what I do goes back into the community events.
Nice.
Then once they bought it for that first time, they would rebuy it or reorder because they liked it. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of was built off more of what I do than the sauce, if you know what I mean. I kind of built myself to build the sauce.
Okay. And when you first talked to the folks that gave you your first shot, what was your sales pitch? What was that pitch to them to get you to into their stores?
I said, look, I'm brand new, have this new sauce. A lot of people has a very strong following. Could you please give me a chance? I'm known around town as a community guy. Told them the community story because they both go together.
Yeah.
And that's what gets me in the door.
And how long was it while you got into your first store before it opened up the doors to the next store? And also, when you started transitioning from one store to the next store, what were some of the challenges?
Well, we went from ordering small batches, meaning say 40 cases of each, and then me figuring out a way to adjust my life to do my own deliveries, to set up times, find out when they receive, just scheduling something was the biggest thing I had. But once I got to do it, I loved it. Awesome. And I'm still doing them. I got some today.
Yeah, and you're in the Food Line stores now. Which stores?
I got the 20 in Fayetteville.
20 in Fayetteville.
Yes.
Nice. So what is that? Walk us through the process that you go through as far as how you're creating the sauces now. How did you get are you doing your own bottling, your own labeling, you're delivering? It sounds like so you're still delivering to all the stores, and walk us through that process. What is that like?
Well, it started out. I'm known for making stuff and never writing it down. Shout out to my wife for making me write this one down.
There you go.
She pushed me to write it down. And then as I start talking to different people and finding out, okay, well, I admitted that what I didn't know so I could get the information I needed. I have a gentleman named Bob Fletcher, Bob Smoking Barbecue Sauce. He took me to lunch and became my sauce mentor. He gave me the steps to get my USDA labels, reaching out to NC State to get it tested. Then he kind of pointed me in the direction of a few co-packers, got me that step. And from there, it's just been pretty much me pushing and just trying to stay in people's faces, I'll be honest.
So documentation, your wife kind of done you a solid on that one. Make sure you documented
Yeah.
exactly what was doing, and then sounds like you've got a really good mentor to kind of help guide you through the different stages of getting it from just something you're making in your home to actually getting it on the shelves of Food Lion.
Yeah, because like the community was the biggest push.
Right.
I'm actually retired from Goodyear disabled. I was content being pop. You know, I just wanted to do my community events, be positive in the community, do that part of it, and be good. But they kept telling me, look, Mr. Carl, if you can do this and you're doing this out of your pocket, that extra help from the sauce can help you take it to another level.
Right.
And that's something that I set up with my business partner. I went into it telling him, hey, I have the idea, but I don't know all the steps. He came in with me. We've learned stuff together, and we've agreed that 10% of what we do has to come back to the community because it wouldn't be a sauce if it wasn't for the community.
Gotcha. That's nice. Talk to us about some of the difficulties. How difficult was it to grow grow this small business, and what was the most challenging part about it so far?
The most challenging part in the beginning was really getting people getting people to believe in you, to try it, to set myself apart, and just staying encouraged. Once I realized that what I had was good, I just kept pushing.
Nice. If you could go back, go back in time, what would you say? What advice would you give maybe yourself before you've gotten to where you're at now? Is there any unique advice you would give?
An open mind opens doors, and just being open to trying the sauce, or open to trying new things, to finding your it. Because I probably could have come up with this maybe 10 years ago,
Right.
but it just wasn't. I wasn't thinking outside of the norm.
What's been the most surprising part about your journey so far with this?
When I'm sitting at a light and somebody pulls up beside me and says, "Hey, I've had your sauce. I love it," and the whole notice of it.
Right. So with being an entrepreneur, with small business and all that, what would you say? What would you say is the most rewarding part about the journey?
That same thing, that
same
notice.
thing.
When somebody tells me they've had the sauce and they like it. When somebody tells me they've heard about it. When I start getting orders from Montana, I don't know anybody in Montana, but somebody has been talking about it, or Michigan or Texas. I get quite a few orders from Texas, and just seeing it grow, and it's like, wow, I didn't expect this.
Yeah.
But I can't say that I didn't see it either. You know what I mean?
So how much has social media helped? I mean, folks is finding you in Texas
Everything.
and all that. So
Social media's been the biggest.
social media is the biggest. Okay.
The first push I had, I was actually on the Tamron Hall show, which is a daytime talk show. I was one of the winners for her national barbecue sauce contest.
Nice.
So people heard the story behind it. The story of what I do draws them in.
Right.
Like I said, and then once they get it, then it spreads.
So I see you've got regular, you've got mild, and you've got hot. Which would you say is the most popular?
All three. I mean, be honest, it depends on what you're eating.
Yeah.
The original, like I said, is where it started. It's got that sweet on the front, that even blend, that little kick. Well, some people can't do a kick, so they will go to the light. And some people said that the original didn't have enough heat, so then came the fire. And people have been putting it on everything. It started out ribs, chicken, hamburgers, hot dog. But I have people that love it on a salad. I got people that put it in their
They
baked
use it for
beans.
salad dressing.
Yeah.
Nice.
Egg rolls,
Yeah.
pizza. My thing is, hey, if you like it, I love it. And that's where the name came, the everything sauce. It started out, yes, a barbecue. That was the only thing I could think of. But if everyone else is putting it on everything, why should I limit what we call it?
Right.
Because then I'm limiting my placement in the store. So
Nice.
that's how this goes.
And I see talk to us about what your plans are for like creating the sauce, or how far are you into the process with one that's specifically tailored for folks that are maybe diabetic and worrying about the glucose levels. What's that like?
I'll be honest, it's been a little, I won't say it's been hard, but it's just trying to find the right those right ingredients that still can stay close to the taste, can stay along our taste lines, if you know what I mean. You know what I mean? Because we want to stay in our realm to where you still got that sweet on the front and that kick on the back. There's almost like a little delay in it, and just finding the right ingredients.
Okay. So how far out would you say you're from having that ready available?
Hopefully by the end of the year.
End of the year.
That one and a mustard.
And a mustard.
Yes.
Okay. What advice would you give to like aspiring entrepreneurs? You know, starting out in business, they have a dream. It could be, you know, yours is having this vision of having a sauce to, you know, kind of go along with your community activism. And you've got folks that has all these different aspirations, and if they've never been in business, don't know the struggles. A lot of people don't even know where to get started. They will just get paralyzed by overanalyzing everything. Did you ever have that? Like, did you ever struggle with any of that?
To be honest, not really, because like I said, I didn't go into it looking to be an entrepreneur. I became an entrepreneur.
You kind of stumbled upon it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I still don't really see it sometimes like a business because I'm having so much fun with it. When I'm at the community cookouts and people ask, Mr. Carl, could you help me do this? Or how did you do this? What can I do? I just have the fun part with that. If I would tell anybody anything, remember you have to sell yourself before you can sell any product.
Amen.
And the notice that I've gotten has made me better. And that's why I love it.
Tell me, what is it? There's always something about, you know, what we're doing, even when we're super passionate about it. There's always a part there that's like we struggle with. You know, I hear what you're saying, you know, on the business side of it, but I could imagine, you know, just say getting over. Have you ever been overbooked or oversold and having to jump in and work, you know, 24 hours a day making batches of sauces? And, you know, how do you stay? Talk to us about what those experiences have been like.
I've had to learn how to say no. There's a lot of times. I'll give an example. This weekend, I did a family reunion where I cooked and I had to make sauce. I finished up that at 6 o'clock. Then I now have the kitchen at Halo. I did Halo, got home about 2 o'clock in the morning. Sunday, I had to get up at 6 and start prepping for a community event, each time making more sauce. It's rough sometimes, and then you don't want to tell people no,
Right.
because you also want to help people, as many people as you can, and you want to get your product out as much as you can.
So I know a lot of people, a lot of business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs, we all struggle with that, you know, and even in the industry we're in, I relate to that because when you're driven by a purpose and what we do and we do it great, it gives us a sense of purpose.
Yes, sir.
So that fuels us. But oftentimes we all will fall into that same trap. You know, you want to tell everybody yes. We want someone to come to us and they got their vision of what their forever home looks like or their business or whatnot. And if we're not careful, we overcommit ourselves. And then, you know, now what your vision and what your goals are, all of a sudden, it's the opposite because, you know, you made promises, you said too many yeses, and you just don't have the capacity to do it. So, like, what has been a way that you found how you can tell people no gracefully and not have that be something where they're leaving or walking away from you being frustrated or even disappointed when you do tell them no?
You want to tell them, well, I found sometimes I've had to tell people no because I want to give you the best product, whether it be the sauce, delivery, whether it be the sauce on the food I'm cooking for you, whatever you need. Let's do it. Let's look at it maybe another day or another time. Because if I can't give you my all, if I'm tired coming off another job or another event, I'm not giving you my best. So let's look at the time if you can. If you can work with me, I can work with you. So
yeah, and I've learned that lesson too because what I think with people is we have it kind of in our own mind. I think more than anything that we have to say yes, or if we say no, that you're going to be disappointing people, or you might lose a customer or whatnot. But what I found is when you're honest and you're straightforward with people up front, and just like how you said, hey, I want to give you the best service, and there's only one way we know how to do this, because if I commit to you and I'm not able to deliver on that service, I'm not able to give you the best, then we're both losing. I've tried that before.
Yeah.
I learned from my mistakes. So it sounds like that's a universal law, no matter if it's with what we're doing with custom homes or commercial buildings, or I would think that applies pretty much to anyone. And I think, too, what also happens when we do that, it ends up helping us even more because people will respect the fact that you know your limits, you know your limitations, you know your boundaries, but that you prioritize delivering a good service, delivering a good product. And even though you're having to tell them no, which they know that most people would say yes, just for the simple fact of money's involved.
Yeah.
And so I think that shows people when we do that we're not there just for the money, but we're actually there because it's our calling, it's what we do, and we want to deliver the best service. So sounds like you've definitely doing the same thing that we're doing on construction side of things. And on that note, I'd like to ask you, what has everybody works with contractors at some point in time, no matter what walk of life you're coming from. What has been your experience dealing with contractors? Has it been good? Has it been bad, or a little bit of both? Or
Mine's really been good. Well, you got to figure the co-packer. That's my contractor. We've worked together. They've helped me. I've helped them, and we both respect each other's business. They've been great. I can't say I've had any bad experiences.
what would you say is some of the top things that sounds like you're blessed to where you have a lot of good people around you.
Yes.
In construction, that's a big challenge for us. And, we've been doing this 20 years. What would you say is some secrets to make sure that you're choosing the right team in your part, like the co-packers and stuff, so you don't have a horror story or plenty of horror stories? Because I know if I was sitting across the table from like someone else who was in the same business I was in, I'd ask them the same question. They could write a book on what those experiences were like. So what has been some of the secrets that you use to where you don't have some of those struggles that most folks would have?
You kind of, I've used an analogy for it. I tell people, you kind of got to date first before you get in bed together. You got to kind of learn who you're working with and then go from there.
What do you look for, like when you're interviewing those co-packers or, those partners or whatnot, when you're first talking with them, what are some of the things you're looking for? And what I'm getting at is I've learned that when I'm looking at prospective clients or subcontractors or vendors, there's a certain way that I know that we work and that truth be told, we're not aligned with majority of the folks that we would be interviewing.
Yeah.
So what I've learned to do is when I'm meeting with people, I look for like little telltale signs to see if we're aligned. Do you do the same thing, or is it something much simpler for you?
Whether it be a co-packer or a partner or even some people that want to sauce. Sometimes you got to look at them. I mean, can you tell me no? I'll give them something, and if they never tell me no, I don't need a yes man all the time. You know what I mean? Sometimes you need somebody to say, like we were saying, right. If I can't do the job and give you my best, I don't want to give you a shabby product. I don't want to give you shabby service. I don't want to give you shabby partnership. Just got to take your time.
So willingness to walk away sounds like to be, key, and the same thing with us. But however, I think it's also too with how they deliver that.
Yeah.
Because what's that said? It's like majority of the times it's not what you say, but how you say it.
That is.
And I look at that a lot too, to where it's better to be told no when you know you can't deliver, but it's how you're saying it. And that's what I look at too, because it's like if we can get along in those areas and I can trust that you're going to shoot me straight, and if we can't meet a deadline, or if we can't do this and can't do that, then you're right. You don't need a yes man, because the yes men, they're always giving you these false hopes, and they're saying yes to whatever question you have, and just set everybody up for failure.
When I first got with my co-packer, if you send your recipe in, and they have to copy your recipe as best they can with the products that are available. Some of the stuff that I was using at home doesn't come in bulk to make the large batches. So they would send me samples back. And if it wasn't right, I'd send it back, and they would work with it. Instead of somebody said, okay, I've got what you want, here's the bottle, now pay me for it. We were able to kind of find that ground. Okay, I like this. I'm not liking this one. This one still needs some work. And I love them for it.
Nice. What's your favorite meal that you love to cook?
Ribs.
Ribs?
Pork ribs.
Nice.
I put my ribs up against anybody.
You know, food has a way of bringing people together. How has it helped you, meet some key influences and stuff?
Oh, wow. With the community stuff and the sauce, I'm getting a lot more calls for helping out or cooking gigs or grilling gigs, and it's just opening doors. I get a chance to talk about the sauce. I get a chance to talk about my visions for my community stuff, and it's all been growing together.
How important is it? I hear you mentioning community service quite often. How important? It sounds like it's very important for you.
Oh, it's everything to me. Like I said, that's all I wanted to do. I work with a couple of different nonprofits in town. I'm on the board of 2. I have a project I'm working on called Uncle Carl's Safe Space. Uncle Carl's Safe Space is a house that a friend of mine we've partnered and agreed to do where, say it's not in the best of neighborhoods, but once you come in that yard, it's a safe space. And my vision is to, as we're rebuilding the house, because right now it's a shell, so we get inside and we start working on it, to imagine a young person not knowing which way they want to go. Okay, we got to do some drywall. So we got a young person watching somebody do drywall. The electrical. The building of the building is also the building of that person. And we just grow it.
Nice.
And, just doing stuff like that.
It spoke to me when you said, about the safe space. You can be in a bad neighborhood, but once you enter into that yard or that home, it becomes a safe space. What is the vision? How are you going about that? Say, like, if you are in a horrible neighborhood where there's all kind of things going outside of that, what's the recipe, if you would, to make that a safe space once you get in there?
Build a relationship in that neighborhood. I just did one, like I said, Sunday. Was the first cookout we had at Uncle Carl's Space. We couldn't get in the house, but we utilized the yard. And what I did, like you just said, food brings people together. If I can feed you, I can talk to you. And the community started coming out, and they were excited about my plan for it. They enjoyed the food. They loved the sauce. And it's just, I tell people, I'm proud to wear the Uncle Carl badge. I'm that uncle. And it's just, it's bigger than me. It's one of the things I always look at.
And this passion for, like, feeding people, where did that originate from?
Well, I've always loved to eat, and grilling is something I've been doing all my life, pretty much. Well, to be honest, once when I was still working at Goodyear, I used to do a thing called Party at the Park. Party at the Park was an event I did to promote positive. We'd have the kids come out and do kickball games, stuff like that. And people would ask, why are you doing this? I say, why not? Why not bring some positive to the community? I have 3 sons and I got 2 grandkids. So the more positive I spread, the safer it is for them. So once I got hurt at Goodyear, I'll be honest, I got a little depressed. The calls from the community to still help where I could, where I thought they wanted $1 for me to help out. No, Mr. Carl, we just want to know if you can cook. That gave me my purpose. It gave me something that I still can contribute, and I just kept doing it.
That's interesting you say that, because I believe that, with a lot of us men, that's a lot of our problems when, we feel like we're not able to contribute, and, our self-worth, no matter what the political environment is, it's a norm. Us men, we find our value in being able to contribute or being useful or doing things that is deemed useful. So, that's interesting you mentioned that, because that's something that when I talk with other people, even beyond the podcast, if we're just talking to, someone one-on-one about their walk and their journey, as men, I think we all struggle with that. And I think when we as men also, too, find out what that is that gives us that sense of purpose, that gives us, that drive and seeing where the fruits of our own labor or the gifts and the talents that we've been given, when we're able to share it with people, it gives us that sense of purpose, and it helps motivate us, helps bring us out of a state of depression. And I think that the more that men can find that, no matter if it's cooking or if, like I said, doing drywall, there's a major shortage of skilled trades. With electricians, drywall, every single trade. The few that sticks out the most is I think that we're going to be in a crisis mode here in the next 2 to 5 years, and it's going to start with land surveyors. I mean, when you call up a land surveyor right now, if you've got a need for that.
Maybe a few months ago, I knew some friends that were trying to do a land deal. But before that deal could get finished, they needed to have the land survey. Well, we can get you about 6 months out, huh?
Yep.
We got cash in hand trying to do this deal, but...
And that's crazy, right? It's like, the only entity I've ever heard say this saying is like, money's not an issue, right? I think in business we all, thrive on when we hear that. But, we're living in a time where money don't solve all problems.
No.
It's like just like that. You can call up these surveyors, or another one is going to be well drillers. We build custom homes, we build commercial developments, and at times we have to do, well drilling. Sometimes it's a shallow well, sometimes it's a deep rock well.
Right.
And unfortunately, I think maybe two entities here locally can dig and drill those rock wells. Well, we were finishing up one of our projects, and the well driller was doing his awesome job like he normally did. But he's old. He's a lot older. I think he's pushing close to 80 years old.
Yeah.
And had something happen, had to go in the hospital. So we weren't really tracking what was going on. So when we did follow up, we found out, he was in the hospital. It wasn't a bad stroke or whatnot, but it made us stop and realize, wait a minute, we're in the middle of drilling down 600 feet. We still haven't hit water. There's nobody else in town that has the rig that can do this. And now you're starting to see how that starts to affect you personally,
Yes.
on a personal level, and your success is tied to that. And I think we as a whole, as people, we haven't stopped to take the time to look around and say, wait a minute, we're so used to having the luxuries that we have, we become blind to them. The air conditioning that we're so used to coming home to, the running water, the electrical working, and it's like we've been so conditioned where all we have to do is pick up the phone or Google, a skilled trades, and we've gotten used to the fact that they're there. I believe if we don't address this problem here in the near future, especially as these particular trades, they just go away. Not only is that business going away, but that skill set that they have isn't getting passed down to the younger generations.
Right.
And before you know it, you'll be needing to get a well installed, or you're going to need to have a surveyor deal, and it won't just be 3 to 6 months. It's going to be like, there's no one here that can do that.
Yeah.
And once that starts becoming a norm, the whole landscape changes. So for me, one of my goals is to try to attract youth to the skilled trades in what fashion, that they have an interest in, and get them to take the interest to learn a skilled trade. And so that way when people like yourself, or even though you're in a different industry, we all need contractors. You're going to call somebody to build that commercial building you're needing to have done. Yes. Or if you're wanting to build a custom home, and the idea is we still want to be able to say, yes, no problem, we can do that. And not saying, well, I'm sorry, sir, I want to deliver you an awesome product and an awesome service, but we're missing 7 out of the 30 trades that we have to pull this off.
Right.
Maybe in a year or two we'll be ready, but right now it's not a good time.
Well, see, that all goes back to the Uncle Carl Safe Space. I have connected with gentlemen at Fayetteville Tech. They run a program called the HOPE program. I actually had 2 young men that I've mentored over the years who just graduated from that program. They're learning a few trades. They're learning electrical. They're learning painting, brick mason, welding, HVAC. Yeah. So the connections, I always tell people to find your it. And I've been introducing young men every chance I get. Oh, young ladies too. Go in there, like I said, open mind opens doors. See what's out here, then you find your it. We all have our own it. We all they say you have a gift. Well, no, you have an it. So find your it, and then you work with someone in another way to put it all together.
Yeah, and that's interesting you say that, because my background is that's what I did. I went to RCC, Robinson Community College. I got my associate's degree in industrial systems technology. And, the idea was growing up, success was getting a manufacturing job as an electrician or mechanic, and you're at the top of the heap if you're making $17 an hour. Was the mindset, and so I graduated high school and went and got my skilled trades degree. But the thing that I didn't realize, but it worked out best for me, was exactly what you mentioned. In industrial maintenance, industrial systems, they taught you the basics of electrical, plumbing, HVAC, blueprint reading, welding, AutoCAD, drawing plans. And I was able to easily pivot from what my initial thought pattern was. And I did, I accomplished the goal. I finished the 2-year associate's program in like a year and a half. I took more to the electrical and the PLCs, the programmable logic controls that controlled the machinery and, making it do what it does as far as automation in the manufacturing arenas. I got a job doing that, and within 6 months, I was at top pay. I was running second shift at where I went to work, and I quickly realized that I was capped out. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I finished a year and a half. I finished a 2-year degree, a year and a half. I landed a job I wanted to land, running second shift, and I saw this older gentleman. Again, he's at least 80 to 85, had a full back brace. Kind of the hard case that you can knock on and strap it around. And we called him Pops. And he had been out there, he told me like 40-some years. And he would drag his feet. I'd never forget the sight. He was dragging his feet coming in one day. And I asked him, I said, Pops, why are you still working? And he made the comment, said, if I stop working, I'm going to die. Yeah. And he said, but I want to give you a piece of advice. Get out of here. You're young, because I was running that shift, and he said, get out of here, go, you've got the whole world ahead of you, don't stay here and don't settle for this. And I was able to easily pivot and start studying for the general contractor's license with that skill set, with what I've learned from the community college. So it isn't, and I'll tell people here now that's watching this, that is a good start, get those basics, those skills. And then if I had it to do all over again, the only thing I would have done differently, besides getting that associate's degree or learning those basics, is I would have also went and took courses in business management. Management I found is the key to success in anything. Right. And it's one thing in skilled trades to know how to do electrical and be really great at electrical or plumbing or HVAC or any of the trades, and that'll get you to a certain point. But everybody will be stifled at their growth unless they have a good management, a good grip on management. That's with money, that's with time, that's with resources. And I think that if the young people would change their perspective, I think the market has painted a picture about construction, contractors, that isn't necessarily accurate. It is to some degree, but there's a lot of money to be made. And with where the market's at now and where it's going to be at in 10 or 20 years, the people who position themselves now to get in early while this gap's being widened. Unfortunately, what I believe is going to happen is that they'll be able to name their own prices, and you will have to pay it.
I was out one day, and the guy pulled up beside me. He recognized the van, and he knows what I do in the community. He said, Mr. Carl, you know any young people that would like to learn electrical? He said, I don't care what they know. I'll take a general labor and pay them $20 an hour. He said, I'm just having a hard time finding people. So from that's when I start talking to my friend over at Fayetteville Tech. I'm like, look, some of these guys out here, or girls, these young people, period, or people, just don't know what's out there or what's needed. You don't think about it until you actually need it. Brick mason, 6-figure job right now. Yep. Electrical, 6-figure. Ability, 6-figure. Plumbers, 6-figure. All these jobs that we're using your hands, people have gotten so technology, driven. You forget it's cool for people to go to school. But somebody still got to build that school.
There you go.
So those trades are always going to be needed. Those skills are always going to be needed.
I think what needs to happen is that we need to start projecting a different image of what the trades look like. I think that's what has happened over time. Society has pushed being a doctor, being a lawyer, being a brain surgeon, and nothing wrong. We need those as well. But what's happened is that when you think of construction, you think of the brick mason, you think of what it is. It's a hard job, it's a dirty job or whatnot. But I think where people is getting it wrong is they're not putting the other piece of the puzzle with that. It's like, well, hey, you're talking six figures, and actually you can learn this without having to spend $250,000 to get an education.
Yeah.
Because these folks that are running the business, they're hungry and looking for people. They'll take and mentor you and show you. And then within a year's time, if you're hungry, if you're dedicated, you can learn the skills, skip the debt, and start making six figures in the shortest amount of time. And if you want to start a business, the doors are wide open.
Go to work with someone, then there's always your spare time. Because if you got a trade, somebody's going to call, hey, I know you work for so-and-so. Can you help me this on your off day? There's extra for you.
Right.
And then, like somebody's, okay, you mentioned brick mason. It's not your basic brick masonry anymore. It's not just brick on top of brick. There's designs to it. There's patterns to it. There's all types. I know a friend of mine, he does the water features for homes. And I'm looking at some of them like, wow. And that's coming off of a brick mason foundation. So you can take anything and just, like I said, find your it in it.
Right. And see, that's the thing. I'm glad you pointed on it, because I think it's really important is that you can take something, it's all in vision. You can look at one thing and see it for what it is, and then somebody else can go there and look at it and see it for what it could be. And it's that person who sees it for what it could be, even though you don't see it, they go about bringing that vision to life, and all of a sudden now they've got a multi-million-dollar business. So what resonated when you said that was that even brick mason, you get three people that's considering that trade. One, oh man, that's a dirty job. It's hot. I don't want to do that. It looks, going home dirty every day. The other guy's looking at it, well, I can at least make a living. The other guy's saying, I saw this mosaic. I was traveling and I remember. So I'm going to learn this to the point to where I want to be able to do brickwork like they do tile mosaics and put these patterns in it, and I can put my stamp on it. I can always initial each one of my jobs. It's going to be my thing. And that person, a person with that kind of mindset, is the one that isn't going to just do good in those areas, but excel at it. And I think that with men and young people that are looking at this, if they go into the skilled trades looking at that, and let's face reality, we're all driven to nice things. Most of us are, the cars, the homes, and the lifestyle. And I think that there needs to be a more deliberate attempt and effort for us as contractors, people who are in the industry, and saying, well, hey, if you want to go drive the Corvette or the Lambo or get a nice home, this is the way that you can go do it, and actually show them a blueprint. Meaning the young people who's considered, you start out, you learn the trade, then you learn management, then you learn business, and then when you get that it factor of what you're able to do better than any other brick mason, guess what? Not only will you be getting phone calls where you're not having to even sell yourself, you're naming your own prices and people's happily paying it, and now they feel like that they've hit the lottery when they've hired you because they know they're getting a good job. They know that they're getting skills that they're not going to get anywhere else. And that's some of the same approaches that we're taking. The biggest part with us is that we're in construction management, right? That's what we do. And we're dealing with so many different trades. And so I found myself more so now doing something similar with the trades, because they clearly have the ability to do good work. But it's the times that you're having to take to them and sit them down and say when they're doing good work, but they could be doing great work, but they've never had someone to sit down and have these kind of conversations with them. That's
something I'm always saying, that people are visual. They go off what they see. So sometimes they don't know what's available if nobody ever shows them anything. So, I keep going back to community stuff, but everything that I do all revolves off that. Every time I give a blessing falls back to me. When I can deal with these young people, it's nothing better for me than to be somewhere doing an event and I got a young person to come, hey, Ms. Carl, you remember me? I was at that mentoring camp 4 years ago with you. Thank you. I'm doing this now. I found my it. I've taken that positive influence that you gave me to separate me from other things, to open my eyes to some other things, and I'm doing it. So thank you.
Nice. So is there a better, more rewarding feeling than that?
No, sir. When it all, I say a lot of times, it's bigger than me. When I go out, people see Flip Flop, but I'm also Callie and Caden's pop-up. I'm representing them. I'm always saying I'm Betty's boy. That was my mother. I honor my mother.
Amen.
Realizing that it's bigger than me. It's not just Carl no more. It's me representing these other folks that attach. Somebody might not remember my name today, but they're going to remember that, hey, he was on this show the other day. So I'm representing you also.
Yeah. And you know what comes to my mind is that it's funny how sounds like our stories relate so much, and we're just now meeting, but just with what you were saying, my background is that I find myself when I really have to answer that question of why, besides the obvious that you might hear me say, on some of the other videos or whatnot, it's the same thing though. I was adopted. My adopted mother, she spoke life into me and told me that I was going to be a blessing to many people. And I've used Southeastern to do that, to affect people in a positive way and to change their life, to build their legacies and build the home that their children is going to be in, for it to be a safe space. And, everything you're saying relates to what I'm doing. I'm living in an area. I grew up in Robeson County, still live there, chose not to leave, could have been left, but I chose not to because I want our family and what I'm doing to be a positive impact. And, just something that spoke with me. You've already given me the blueprint. You probably don't even know it, but it's something I've been thinking about even in my own life of where I'm at, having a safe space in a bad neighborhood. And I've actually was praying and thinking about this same topic, how can I, connect with the people that are around me? Because, we've got all kind of stuff going on around us. But the idea is that I've always been able to come home from work and we have a safe space. If you notice, even in our office, when you walk in, there's certain music playing and things that we do deliberately to help foster that. And one of the things that I've learned, and you've taught me is like, I'm gonna put it out there even now, is like, in my neighborhood, I haven't done an event. I haven't done a cookout from my neighborhood and bringing them together and us breaking bread together. And, some of the people that we might look at in passing coming in and out of our neighborhoods, they're living a certain lifestyle that at some point in time can affect you and your family, depending on what situations start popping off in the neighborhood. But have you even reached out and tried to connect with them?
You've already started by being an example in your house. Somebody's watching you now. So you got to look at it as, even when you don't think somebody's watching. Some are watching for negative, some are watching for positive. But they're still watching you. Hey, he goes out every day and does this. Then they're going to get a little closer. Then they're going to get a little closer. Then you're going to build that relationship. Start with just speak, hey, good morning, good evening. The relationships are built. They're gradual things. I didn't start out, Mr. Positive. But I've grown to be Mr. Positive. It's made me better. So when I'm doing my thing, it then comes back to the business also. So I tell people we wake up at different points in our lives. We find what drives us or what we want at different points. Somebody's asked me one time, would I go back and change? I've been asked, would I go back and change? At one point I said yes, but for real, no. Because sometimes you got to go through something to appreciate what's coming.
Yeah.
And the stupid mistakes I made, I'm okay with it now because I got a story. I know what happened. Now when I'm meeting that next young person, I can not tell them what to do, but guide them with what they're doing.
Right.
Okay, why you going this way? Now, there's some mud over here to the right, so I just stepped in it.
Yeah.
Well, I stepped in it before you. Try moving a little bit this way.
Yeah.
It's not about me putting my ideas in their head. It's about me taking what's in their head and building off of it.
And, the thing is with that, too, is like getting those people to trust your word. Because some of us, we have to learn the hard way. Some of you can tell me to go left. I'm going right just because you told me to go left.
Been there.
Yeah.
Been there. But 9 times out of 10, that's our family.
Yeah.
You trying to live? I got 3 sons. I want them to be what I am. No, they got to do their thing.
Yeah.
But with the same guidelines I won't say the same guidelines, but the same kind of basics that they can make their own to find their way of doing it.
What would you say is some of the if you had to choose like the top 3 skill sets that you would, if you could really instill into your son or someone that's watching, what 3 skill sets would you want to make sure that they mastered?
Being consistent, consistency. Years ago, I heard this saying. There was a guy, he just got out of jail. He went and talked to someone. He was a popular figure. And he said, look, I want to get back in everybody's good graces. He said, what you have to do, you have to build the man to build the brand. I've taken that to build my brand. I have to sell myself before I can sell the product. So I got to remember when I'm walking sometimes, stand up straight. Do something good. Think about what you're saying. Think about where you're going. I'm building myself to be a better man, to push a good brand, or push a great brand.
Nice. So you got consistency, and that was one of the ones there. I've got a few. The reason why I asked you it seems like we're aligned a lot, and I just wanted to kind of see based on your answers, how aligned we were on. So you got consistency. What would be the second skill set you would want to make sure you impressed upon someone that's trying to be successful?
Have an open mind. Look at the whole picture.
Okay, and what would be your third one?
Don't be afraid to give.
Why do you think most people would be afraid to give if you had to take a...
Because sometimes you look at it, there's people that's going to try to take advantage of a good heart. But remember that if you got 10 people coming to get, I'll give you an example, backpack giveaway. You got 10 people coming to get backpacks. If you get frustrated because you know that there's those same 10 people are going to the one down the street getting backpacks and they're going to another one. I've had people say, man, I'm tired of giving these people. I saw them at the last backpack. They just got stuff. I ain't giving no more. Well, there's one person in that line that's not going those other. They're just thankful to get what they got. So if you cut off the whole giving, you just cut off one person that you could have really helped. So giving is what we're supposed to do. We're put here to serve. It's not on me to determine what they do with it, what I give. I've done my part by giving. It's just like, you talking about creating a safe space down there, or me talking about giving training. I'm going to put it out there because that's what I'm supposed to do, which is going to make me better. Hopefully you'll see the benefit in it and do it yourself.
Now, what would you say, I'm interested in your perspective on this, is like, comment you made about not being afraid to give. What is your views on when you give? And I'll be transparent with what I'm getting at here. I struggle with like you can give someone the shirt off your back, and when you really need that shirt, but you understand what it's like to struggle, and you relate, and you got a kind heart, and you give the shirt off your back, and then you find folks that not only will, of course, take the shirt, but now they're demanding your wallet. They're demanding your shoes. What is your take on that?
I hope this sounds right. It's okay to give, but just don't be a sucker. I mean, that's the only way to put it. You got to look at what you're giving to. Now, I was there to give you the basics. And before I give you anything more, I got to see where you're going with it.
Right.
What you going to do?
I've had to learn to pray, for discernment in that, because I've been a sucker a few times.
Me too.
You know what I mean?
Me too.
And I find out at the end, it doesn't work the way that it should work. You know what I mean? And the reality is that I was the sucker. I mean, you should have known. If you don't have the gift of discernment, you might need to get to praying for it, or you might need to get to learning how to read people and seeing what the situation is really about.
That's the lesson we go through. I mean, that's. Like I said, it's not about what they do with it. It's about the fact that we did give. Now, like I said, we don't keep giving because people will use you as long as you allow them to use you.
So let me tell you what it looks like in my line of business. We're building custom homes, and I tell people that's one of the most, at least in my opinion, it's one of the most complicated things you can do and master it. And even when you master it, even when you're right, you're still wrong because you're always battling with people's perceptions and emotions, and everyone can't can't fully illustrate what their expectations are. And so we can cross every T, dot every I, write every spec, and they can sign off on it, video record it, and we install it and do a wonderful job at it. And you walk in, and the vision that you had in your mind, even though you made the selections in your mind, you thought it would look like the picture, but then it doesn't look like the picture. And then all of a sudden, if that relationship's not right, or you didn't do a good job setting expectations, I've seen times before where when I didn't do those things, I did the job correctly, but I didn't do the job properly as far as setting expectations, managing expectations, and having these conversations up front. Even though we were right and we could prove we were right, we were still wrong in the client's perspective because it didn't match what they had envisioned.
Right,
and there's been times where I'm the type of person, how I've grown in business is I always take responsibility. I take accountability, even in the worst scenario. So I've had situations like that to where that same thing happened, and I'm like, you know what? I tend to look back, I'm blessed. I know where I've came from, and to them that $5,000 is like $5 million.
Yeah, I understand.
So I've got the guys here. You know what? Even though I don't have to do this, my whole goal is to have these folks happy, smiling, having a wonderful experience. And so one of the struggles I've dealt with for a while in business is that line. Number one, we're in business. Number one goal of a business is to make money.
Right.
But then I've never wanted to be the type of person where I put that above relationships.
Yeah.
So oftentimes I would make exceptions and would do things like that. And I just found myself, when you do stuff like that, at least for me, the biggest reward, and I think you're kind of the same way based on what you said, is a heartfelt thank you. I appreciate you didn't have to do that because you were right. You did exactly what I thought, and unfortunately it wasn't what my wife had in mind or what we had in mind. And we know how hard $5,000 can be to come by, and you didn't have to do that. So the fact that you did that really speaks volumes and means the world to me and my family. That's the expectation.
Yeah.
But then what I found in business oftentimes, and it blows my mind, you don't even get a thank you.
Oh,
the expectation is you were supposed to do that.
I've had community events I've done with people, and Mr. Carl, we just want you to, see if you can help us out. If you could just grill the hot dogs and hamburgers. I get to the event. Well, hey, somebody just brought some chicken. Can you work that in? Hey, if I got some ribs, can you throw that in? No, it's going to throw off everything. It's going to throw off the timing. I know you spent this money, but we got to look at it. There's an order even to grilling and doing events and the setup and passing out. So sometimes you just got to tell them, even through the process. I know this is what you really thought, but it got altered when you brought this to the table. Yeah. When you wanted to change this door that you wanted this house to this other door, they're not the same size.
You know what? And what that speaks to me is the difference, and I've lived through this and I've done a good job correcting it, but essentially it's the difference between being a nice guy versus a good guy. The nice guy will take on, will cook the chicken, will cook the ribs and everything else that's been brought in. And the nice guy won't even breath it to the people as far as, well, hey, this is going to throw off the timing or whatnot. But the good guy who's great at what he does is going to let them know, hey, number one, we've got this, and this that needs to happen. We've got a set schedule, and I can make that happen. But the moment that if I accept this, here's the results of it.
Yeah.
And I need it documented to where when this goes south and there's no food and people's getting upset and angry,
I told you.
You're not coming back to me and saying, now you've got a choice to make. Do we want to play it safe and get the result that we're all going to be happy with, or do we want to gamble here and have these folks upset and mad with you because they're not going to be mad with me because I'm making it perfectly clear. So which would you have me do?
Yeah.
And that's one of those skill sets, when it transcends all business lines. It don't matter if it's construction. It clearly don't matter if it's, grilling and cooking. And so, again, I think with the younger folks or people who are watching this, I think that's a gem that they could take with them and not have to learn some of those hard lessons. If you just take this advice and apply it to what you're doing, it'll save you countless headaches, frustration, money, and even relationships.
Definitely.
I do want to ask you, with everybody who has dreams and visions with business, it always comes down to the same thing, I think, with most of us, because we're all trying to do the same thing. We're trying to leave a legacy. We're trying to live a life full of purpose. we're wanting to, accomplish these series of goals, and part of them is always building a dream home for most people.
Yes.
What does that look like for you?
Getting that dream home.
Getting that dream home. What does yours look like?
It's about 2,500 square feet, anywhere from 2 to 5 acres, pond behind it for fishing, side house, man cave, and it's fenced because I got my dogs, and that's peace for me.
Yeah, that's what I found. We've built $1 million homes, $2 million homes, 10,000 these gigantic homes, and the thing is knowing that everybody's got a different walk and what they're trying to accomplish. However, what I've found is that when you're looking at people's dreams and what you're really after, bigger isn't always better.
For me, it's more of being comfortable. What do I really need over what I want?
Right.
Okay. Being a little older, you learn, okay, if I get this big house, then we got to worry about cleaning it now. Give us room where we ain't bumping into each other. Give my grandkids room, give my dogs room, let me have my fishing area. If I can go fishing, I'm in heaven.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to do a lot of fishing. Mark's over there nodding and said, I think that's his peaceful time as well.
And it's just that, I'll tell you, I used to get off on Goodyear at 7 in the morning. I go to a bait shop. I kept the rods in the car. I go over to Lake Rim, sit on those rocks. My wife would call me about 12 o'clock. Where are you? Oh, I'm in Lake Rim. And I'd just be over there it's almost like me against the fish.
Yeah.
And I just relax.
Nice. Okay. So is there anything that we can do here at Southeastern, to help with, your calls, or, what can we do to help you guys?
For one, I want to tell you thank you for this opportunity. Keep opening the doors for people to share their story.
Nice.
It's not really about me. It's just about what you're doing for people out here like me. So thank you.
You're welcome, Mulder. I'm glad we have you, and I look forward to touching bases with you in the future too, just to see what the journey ends up being in another year or 2 years. And on that note, what is the grand vision? Like, where is this going? Like, paint the big picture for everyone.
There's flip-flop sauce in every home in the world. that is a dream, but to just keep growing it, to grow the sauce, to grow Uncle Carl's safe spaces. Right now, my first one is in Bonnie Doon. Well, I want to take one to Spring Lake. I'm gonna call you. I'm coming down to Robertson County. Let's build one down there. Let's create these safe spaces. Let's keep being an example of what we want to see. We all talk about a lot of people talk about what they don't see. Well, if you don't see it, let's be it.
Yeah.
So just building stuff like that because it benefits everybody.
Yeah.
I hope I can, keep going. But a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, you got to remember, what about your customer? Where are your customers coming from? That's the youth. So the more we give to our youth, the better we prepare our youth. If I can get some young people to get jobs, to raise families, to make money, okay, you got some money, now buy some sauce.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm protecting my customers. I'm building my customers.
Well, and also, too, I know, like, speaking from Robertson County, these areas where, it would be of concern as far as the activities in the area. If they also follow that same blueprint, you don't have to worry about, because idle hands is the devil's playground.
Yes, sir.
So I'm with you 100% on that, and I look forward to doing that. And, I think that actually it's going to hit a lot closer to home for me because I'm going to have to do it from my space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think that's a tremendous idea, and I know I'm going to take some of the notes that I've gotten here while I'm talking with you and put a plan together and see if I can follow that blueprint that you've laid out. And I'll most definitely keep you posted on what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Because think about it, you're going to be building relationships in your community. I hope this sounds right, but I told somebody one time, I can go anywhere in the city because I fed all over the city. Who's going to mess with the man that feeds everybody? You mess with the man that feeds somebody, you messed up the food because I ain't feeding.
It's going to be a problem.
So you build those relationships, and then it starts protecting you. It starts protecting your family. It spills over, so it all grows.
Awesome.
That one little action at that one house is going to touch another block, another neighborhood.
I see you've got some events coming up. What's the events you got coming up?
Every month we do the Uncle Carl Safe Space, Lunch on Us, the monthly feedings, and then I lock myself into that, but the way I am, I'll pop up and do one. Hey, it's nice out.
Yeah.
I got some charcoal. Let me go set up and feed. Just random do it.
Nice. So, if what would you do if, with this brand that you're building, if it went beyond your wildest dreams, if it take off and went national, international, and if money is not a problem at all, what do you do in those scenarios? What are some of the goals you would have for yourself, your family?
One thing I've always wanted to do was build a rec center in an area like Bonnie Doon in Fayetteville that doesn't have anything. Any kid that grew up in that area is stuck there. It's too far to walk to College Lakes or Smith Rec, too far to go to Westover. I would like to build a super safe space. It's one thing to have that house there and do the skills, but imagine a space with basketball, computer rooms, boxing, an all-purpose building. Covering a little bit of, whatever you want, we got it.
Nice. Well, hey, we're going to keep that in our prayers that happens for you.
It's going to happen.
And, you can build them all over the nation. Robeson County needs them too. So, and I think there's, a lot of room for improvement. Sometimes I think even with what I'm doing on a personal level with the business, I get so consumed with the business side of it. And I justify it by, we're changing people's lives simply by building them a home, simply by building that new business structure is going to help their business grow and in turn help them do this, and this. That sometimes, even though it's part of the effort, it gets kind of diluted into everything else without it being something that's kind of standing out and above and beyond as far as how we can help in those areas too. So that's something I'm definitely making a pledge to kind of make a more intentional effort with things like that. And so I appreciate your insight because it's got my mind to turning and things that we need to be doing and should be doing, but haven't necessarily been doing.
You do it in your time. That's it. Like I said, when your time is, I have actually, like I said, everything goes with the community. The community got me the sauce. Start giving me more notice. Now I volunteer at my grandson's school every day. Being with kids every day, I'm actually writing a children's book. Come on, me, writing a children's book. But it came from my time with him and some of the things I've been saying with you and I've said to other adults, finding your it. And the book is a journey of my grandson going through school. Him going to this classroom, learning a little something. Going to the next room, learning a little something. Taking some of it to the next room. Then he gets to this final room in the book. It wasn't the school, and it's empty. And he asked the question, well, where is it? There's like a narrator that tells him, it is whatever you want it to be. You take some of this, and create your own it. So you're going to go through different rooms in your life.
That's life.
Different stages in your life. But you remember to take a little bit of this to create what you want, what you want to see.
Nice. Awesome insight. So is there anything that you would like to end with or, I want to thank you for taking the time to stop by and giving us the insight to what you're doing, how you're doing it, inspiring me to do some of the stuff that now I've got on my list to do. And is there any questions that you would have that you'd like to ask? I know you've asked a few, but I want to make sure I give you the time and opportunity to ask whatever questions you may have.
I'll be honest, I'm just so excited for the opportunity. Anytime I get to share my story or maybe say something that might help somebody else, I'm always good.
Nice.
My motto is I woke up today. Everything else is extra.
Amen to that. Yeah, I tend to, Troy, my buddy, I built a house for him, and he's working with us. One of his sayings, too blessed to be stressed.
Okay.
He asked him many times, you're too blessed to be stressed. And so I had to come up with my own, and I struggled because I didn't want to, just use his, so I had to come up with my own. And the one I come up with was, if I do any better, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Okay.
So I said, it works most times, but sometimes you got to watch who you say that around because that might rub some folks the wrong way.
Yeah, gotcha.
So, but that's the one I use. That's the one I stick with. So, and you guys know we could not end this without actually sampling the sauce. So we're going to start out with the light sauce. And while I'm doing this, I'm flip-flop. How did that come about, the name?
Okay. The real name or the real reason behind the name was when they were everyone was asking me, Mr. Carl, what is this sauce? What are you going to call it? Well, let's just say I was into the cookout. I looked down, I had on some flip-flops. So I'm going to call it flip-flop sauce. Why are you going to call it flip-flop sauce? So good you put on a flip-flop and eat it.
Nice.
Now, the more commercial saying is, it's got that sweet on the front, that heat on the back, that flip and that flop.
Nice. Nice. Chicken and my French fries and a biscuit. So it'll go with all of that, yeah.
Pizza.
So that's light, so that didn't have no heat to it. Okay.
That's the one, that's for your kids' meal.
Okay. So this is original.
Yeah. We have another one that I did with Old Chicago last year for the Super Bowl contest. Super Bowl they did. They wanted me to make one hot as I could, which still stayed along that sweet and heat. We call it Extreme. I take it out every day. Yeah. That's going to be a while before we get out because I'm still trying to find the right level for it. I've got people that just put on their chips.
It's got a little tang to it. It's good.
Had the sweet and a little delay.
So I imagine that one's going to have some kick to it.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Put that on your pork skins to be happy.
It's got a little delayed kick to it. Yeah. But each one of them tastes great. Now I'll tell you what the real test for this one is. It says fire. If it makes me start scratching and itching from the heat, then it is fire.
It's an enjoyable heat. Nothing worse than getting some food where you're so busy panting and trying to catch your breath you can't enjoy it. This is one you can enjoy.
It's not too hot. It's good.
I saw that second wave of heat kick.
Yeah. I just felt that little tingle in the back of my ear there. So yeah, it's got a delayed response. So If you eat a lot of it, then it's got some heat to it. But all of them are good. All of them are. I think that I would probably go with the middle one for me, just because you can taste it's in the middle.
Yeah, it's that safe. It's that safe bet.
Yes, I would probably do that deal. But I like this. This one here was like almost anything, like putting it on almost anything. I could see myself putting it on.
I got people put on their eggs. I got the fire they put on fish. I got somebody put in the greens. If you like baked beans, put either the original or the fire with your baked beans. Some people you got a little ketchup in there. Put the sauce in there. It gives that little kick in it.
Maybe I do like the hot better.
Well, you got the set. You just got sauce.
Yeah. So hey, we got all three. So we're gonna try it on some chicken. We're gonna definitely try it on some French fries. So thank you for the bottles, and it's amazing. It's great. But you got a great product there.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
And you said you're coming out with some more products too, right?
Yeah, the flip-flop free, which would be the diabetic version. And then still trying to get the name right for the mustard one. With the mustard, imagine taking that tomato element out. Still got that sweet on the front, that mustard little blend, and then that little kick on the back.
Nice.
I'm going to start with the original on that for mustard. And then we'll work on a tangier mustard. I'm just going to keep playing with it,
Which stores are you going after next to try to get it in?
Well, I've got paperwork in with Walmart, Whole Foods. I'm doing Pinehurst Barbecue Festival. What's that? Labor Day weekend, and the winner of it gets a contract with Lowe's. But also having paperwork in there.
Nice. Okay.
It's just, I would love to be in everybody's store right now, but the thing about it is I have to grow with the sauce.
Right.
It will be, okay, in a year, after my year with Food Line, they're going to look at my numbers, possibly give me the distribution center, which would be 513 stores. Well, you think about it, I got to be prepared to handle 513 stores. The co-packer, on minimum, each store will get like 10 cases.
Right.
So I'm going from basically 200 cases to 3,500 cases. Well, no, excuse me, 5,000 cases. Well, imagine if Walmart calls me. They want 10,000. I don't want everybody to call me at once, and I can't handle them. It'd be great to have the deals, but if I can't supply them, then what are they going to do?
You know,
I got to tell them no.
Yeah, and, you got to tell them no at that point, because in our world, that's exactly what happens. I don't know what it is and why it tends to happen like that. It's like everybody tends to wait, and everybody wants to come at the same exact time. Yeah.
So with me only being, us really only being around for a year, a little over a year, probably a year and a half now, the growth is cool. Because like I said, bigger than the sauce guy, Pop is everything to me.
Yeah, most definitely.
You know, the guy in the community, the guy that can feed, the guy that can do stuff like this.
Nice.
That other stuff will come.
Yeah. Well, we wish you all the success, man. We hope that scenario does happen, to where if there is a problem, it ain't a money problem. You got it everywhere, every store. And when you need some of those promo videos made stuff, fellas right here got you covered. So
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like I said, thank you for the opportunity.
and thank you for stopping by. It's been a pleasure.
Definitely,
so much.
definitely. I definitely appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Keep doing your thing.
All right, thank you. We'll do.
Hey guys, thank you for watching. If you'd like to order sauce, go to flipflopbbq.com and comment in the bottom section, Southeastern, to get 10% discount on your next order. Let's get sauced.